Q4 is coming. It'll be here before we know it. So when should we start? How should we prepare to better our chances to get more sales? Well, I'm going to answer that and a whole lot more, so stick around. Hey Write Writers, Keith Wheeler here, and if you want to continue to get all the hints, tips, and tricks on how to make self-publishing easier, then be sure to subscribe to the channel, smash your little bell icon so you get alerted each and every time I put out a new video. So what is Q4? For those people who don't know, Q4 is like the holy grail of the year for selling books and just selling merchandise in general. And that's because Q4 is fourth quarter. It's October through December, and it's when people are doing the most shopping, especially shopping online. And what tends to happen is because more people are out there shopping for the holidays, sales in general tend to go up. Not just book sales, but sales across the board. So when should we start preparing for Q4? My opinion, today. Whenever you're watching this video, that's when you want to start. So why start now? First of all, like I said, it's right around the corner. I'm recording this video in early August. You've got August and September, and then we start Q4. So not only is Q4 coming, it's going to be here before we know it. First reason why I suggest starting now is you need time to research and create your products. Yes, this channel is mostly about books, but this goes far beyond books. If you're creating merch, this is the time when you really want to start thinking about that as well. So again, you need time to do your research and create your product. Number two is it gives you chances to get those early sales and have time to rank and maybe even getting some reviews. Again, whether it's merch or it's books. Number three, and this is especially true this year, I believe people are going to start shopping earlier. And the reason why is because with this whole pandemic that we've had, that people have run into delays in shipping. And they don't want to risk that around the holidays. So I truly believe people are going to start shopping earlier than they normally would, just to better ensure that they'll get the products that they're going to buy in time for the holidays. So then how do I prepare for Q4? There are two methods that I've used myself, and I found success with both of them, and they both have their own pros and cons. And don't worry, I will tell you the pros and cons for both. Method number one is to focus on one area. So whether you do books or you're doing merch, focusing on just that one type of product is definitely a way to prepare for Q4. Now the pros to that is one is it helps you streamline things and you become more efficient. Obviously, if you're, let's say, just doing merch, then you only have your software open for merch, you get a system down, and you'll be able to be a lot more efficient because you get familiar with it, and that's all you're doing. You're doing that on a regular basis. And you're not shifting from that to another software or another product or anything like that. You're focusing just on that one area. Second pro is by staying in the single mindset, creativity can flow from one book to the other, or from one t-shirt to the other, or one cup, or whatever you're working on. And when I say stick to one thing, if you're focusing on merch, I don't necessarily mean just focus on t-shirts. I mean, I'm talking about merch as a whole. So books as a whole, merch as a whole. So pick the one that you want to work on and just focus on that. Now, there are definitely cons to that. And the biggest one is you're putting all your eggs in one basket. So if you decide that you're just going to do books and you just knock out book after book after book and you're not working on merch or anything else like that, well, what if people don't buy as many books this year as you're anticipating? Well, then there's really not much you can do because it's already after the fact. The other con to this is, honestly, at least for me, it can get boring. If I'm only working on merch or I'm only working on books for, a month or two or three, preparing for Q4, that it's very easy for me to get bored. Now, there are ways around that by, again, like I was saying with merch, not necessarily just doing t-shirts. You can do t-shirts, you can do phone covers, you can do mugs, you can do onesies, depending on what platforms you use. Same thing for books. You can do puzzle books, you can write some short reads, you do some journals or some planners. So you don't necessarily have to do one type of item, but boredom is definitely something that could come up. Method number two is the exact opposite of that, which is diversify. You can do books and merch and Redbubble. You do onesies and cups and books and shirts and everything else. There are definitely pros and cons to that as well. Now, the pros for diversifying is, number one, obviously you're casting a wider net for customers. So you're not just focusing on people who read books, people who want t-shirts, people who want onesies, people who want phone case covers or pop sockets or whatever. So definitely casting a wider net increases your chances of getting sales. Another pro is that if one avenue doesn't sell, another might. So even if customers may not be buying books like you expected them to, you also have t-shirts out there, you also have onesies out there, you also have mugs and pop sockets or whatever. So again, if one avenue doesn't sell, another might. And of course, the third pro is less chance of boredom. Because you're doing different things and your mind is going in different places, the creativity can jump from one to another, then there's a lot less chance of you getting bored easily, at least for me. But now, of course, with every pro, there comes some cons. The cons of diversifying for preparation for Q4 is, number one, you have a lot more tasks and systems and research to juggle. So you're researching what type of book to put out, as well as what type of t-shirt designs to do, as well as what kind of pop socket designs to do. Probably have different software open up. So again, there's a lot more to juggle. And another con is that you get less of any given product out. So instead of getting 10 books out, if you did just focusing on one thing, you might get 3 books and 2 t-shirts and a couple pop sockets, So again, you're diversifying, so you're getting more things out there, but less of each than if you were to just focus on one. And again, because you've got tasks and everything else open, you're gonna be a lot less efficient because you're not just focusing on just one thing. So which one works? Which one works better? Which do you do? Well, honestly, there really is no right or wrong answer on which one to choose. Again, I've seen great success with both of them. If you focus on these next 2 tips, then you're going to better your chances of making more sales regardless of which method you choose. Tip number 1 is to create a schedule. Regardless of which method you go with, whether you decide to focus on just one area or you're going to diversify, set yourself a schedule so that way you know exactly what you're going to be working on that day. So even if you're doing diversifying, maybe on Mondays you'll work on t-shirts, on Tuesdays you'll work on books, on Wednesdays you'll work on pop sockets, whatever you want to do. Set a schedule, whether it's daily, hourly, however you need to do it. Set yourself a schedule and stick to it. Number 2, always focus on quality over quantity. Regardless of how many books you end up getting out, regardless of how many t-shirts or pop sockets or whatever you're working on, regardless of how many you get out, if they're low quality, you're going to most likely get less sales. If you have higher quality, not only will you, yes, get less products out there, but you can typically charge more for them because the end user sees the quality that's in it. Especially in Q4, when people have a tendency to be more willing to spend a little bit more, open up their wallets a little bit more. So again, focus on quality over quantity, as well as creating yourself a schedule, and you have a much better chance of getting a lot more sales during this Q4. Now, one more bonus tip, and that is if this is your first Q4 or even your second, don't put so much pressure on yourself. Don't even give yourself a number to focus on, because again, that's thinking quantity and not quality. So again, just focus on the quality and give yourself a break. Just enjoy the creation of whatever it is you're creating. So while you're preparing for Q4, have you written books? Well, if that's the case, have you looked into the KDP X-Ray feature? Check out this video right here, and I'll show you exactly how to get KDP X-Ray set up for your written book. Now, maybe you're thinking about creating no-content books. Check out this series right here, and I will show you how to create your own no-content book interiors. So pick one of these videos and go check them out, and I'll see you there. And remember to write right. Go ahead. I'll wait.